biashara yako. Chukua bima leo. Tuna bima ya maisha, afya na ajali, mali hata elimu. Chukua bima leo. Linda jamii yako, linda biashara yako. Chukua bima leo. Tuna bima afya na ajali, mali hata elimu. Chukua bima leo.
Well, from wherever you're watching us in Kenya and around the world, you're in time for KBC Prime Edition, coming to you live from Broadcasting House right here in the capital city, Nairobi, Kenya. Tonight, lots of stories packed up for you, including the day's sports. We're also going to look at what happened in the space of business. Good evening. I am Mboya. This live broadcast begins right now. Cracking the whip. NHIF managers suspended with immediate effect as graft probe kicks off.
I hereby direct that all branch managers for NHIF in the affected areas be suspended immediately pending investigations.
You are a hired gun. Deputy President now accuses a section of the media of being used by the opposition to discredit the government.
They were trying to create an impression that the president and I have a problem. I want to tell you, the media, you are going to wait for a long time, and you'll be disappointed.
Plus, towards accessing duty-free European market, Kenya-EU trade agreement signed at State House, Nairobi.
The agreement will grant Kenyan products immediate duty-free, quota-free entry into the EU from the day it comes into effect.
Lucy Moura is in charge of our sign language docket. Our socials at KBC Channel 1. My Twitter handle at Mboya24. Let's begin this live broadcast with our lead story. And the Health Ministry has suspended a number of National Health Insurance Fund branch managers in the counties of Meru, here in Nairobi, and also in Kiambu. Why? Because they are working with cartels to siphon money from the fund. Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakumicha has further ordered a temporary closure of 8 hospitals involved in the syndicate and transfer of its patients to other facilities to pave way for further investigations. That report is the one that opens our coverage tonight.
The National Health Insurance Fund is on the headline again, but all for the wrong reason. Some of its branch managers, according to the Ministry of Health, have colluded with cartels to fleece the National Health Fund. The syndicate has been rifled in Nairobi, Meru and Kiambu counties, and the Cabinet Secretary in charge of the ministry has cracked the whip.
I hereby direct that all branch managers for NHIF in the affected areas be suspended immediately pending investigations.
8 hospitals involved in the scandal have been closed to pave way for investigations by the Kenya Medical Practitioners and the Pharmacy and Poisons Board. The said hospitals include Joy Nursing and Maternity Hospital, Beirut Pharmacy and Medical Center in the Mal Hospital in Nairobi County, St. Peter's Orthopedic and Surgical Hospital in Kiambu County, Afya Bora Hospital Annex and Afya Bora Hospital both in Mboya Kirinyaga, Jakim Hospital in Kubu Imenti South and Jakim Medical Center in Meru County.
The facilities are directed to immediately transfer their inpatients and evacuate their process. Thereafter, our teams will enforce the directive for closure should they inspect and find them culpable, and they will remain closed until investigations are concluded.
CS Nakumicha is further ordering a lifestyle audit on all NHIF starting this month to run up to the end of the year.
Any inconsistencies flagged out will be subjected to investigations and will attract firm legal measures.
The ministry further said that all affected patients will be compensated upon verification of genuinely deserving cases. Yusufar reporting for Prime Edition.
Of course, that's a story that members of the fund will be keen to follow through, and we will be following it up for you as well. Now, the EU and Kenya have concluded and signed a political conclusion of the negotiations of the Economic Partnership Agreement, EPA. The ratified agreement signed at State House Nairobi will give Kenya duty-free access to the EU market base, one of Kenya's biggest export markets. The Economic Partnership Agreement between Kenya on one end and EU on the other aims at implementing the provisions of the EU East African Community trade deals, and of course it will also open up to other EAC countries in a joint venture in future.
Kenya and the European Union have signed a trade deal as part of ongoing efforts to boost trade and economic ties between Kenya and the European Union. Speaking during the ceremony, President William Ruto described the development as a major step in the trade and investment relations between the European Union and Kenya. The head of state said inking of the deal signals a long-term commitment to ensure farmers, including those in flour, tea, coffee, fish as well as peas, and the edible fruits and nuts sector are assured of predictable market.
The agreement will grant Kenyan products immediate, duty-free, quota-free entry into the EU from the day it comes into effect. And in recognition of our varied stage of progress along the development journey, products from the EU will progressively receive duty reductions over a period of 25 years.
President Ruto reiterated the government's commitment to the continuous implementation of the business climate reforms agenda and to sustain the country's position as a continental leader in institutional evolution.
By locating your investment in Kenya, you will gain market access to the rest of the African continent. And I am pleased that we are doing this at a time when we are also advancing the implementation of the Global Gateway Africa Europe Investment Package.
According to the Executive Vice President and the European Union Commissioner for Trade, the agreement will be directly supported by the implementation of the Global Gateway of African European Investment Package announced at the 6th EU-AU Summit in February 2022.
Already, 3.4 billion euros have been mobilized to support over 150 projects. Those cover areas like renewable and accessible energy, including green hydrogen, electrical mobility, sustainable agricultural value chains, circular and sustainable economy, climate resilience, and environmental conservation.
The signing of the agreement on Monday marked the end of a negotiation process that kicked off in 2016. The parties in the deal are set to work towards the completion of the respective internal procedures for the entry into force of the Economic Partnership Agreement as soon as possible.
The signing of the ambitious trade deal between Kenya and the EU is set to benefit the over 28 partner states and establish a long-lasting relationship in matters trade and investment. And this is in line with the United Nations 2030 Agenda on Sustainable Development. For Prime Edition, I'm Gladys Mungai.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has defended the government's expenditure since ascending into office. Gachagua, who was in the coastal city of Mombasa for the start of a water and sanitation conference, says that the foreign trips by the president as well as other top government officials were aimed at accelerating and building global partnerships. The Deputy President at the same time maintained that the government will not be distracted in discharging its mandate, cautioning the media against being used by external forces to drive a wedge between itself and the government.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was in Mombasa to officiate this year's Kenya Water and Sanitation Conference, an exhibition that has brought together over 1,000 global experts.
At the start. So if we do
Negative effects of climate change have forced the stakeholders to accelerate partnerships in order to develop waterways, particularly in the northern part of Kenya, while prioritizing technological solutions.
We're equally going together with technology to be able to carve out elements that are going to try and do illegal connections.
We are going to make sure that never again our people should be traveling 5-10 kilometers to search for water, and that is clean drinking water.
Kenya has got massive resource, both natural resources and human resource. Let us work towards that goal.
The biggest asset that can sort out that problem also is simple, good governance practices.
As he officially opened the week-long event, the Deputy President insists public-private partnership programs will accelerate development that will aid the country in attaining self-sufficiency.
Partner with the government to build dams, water ponds, sink boreholes, and assist us to deal with the effects of climate change.
We have taken a bold step as a government, led by His Excellency the President, to agree to partner and invited partners in the private sector to be able to invest and break the myth that water is not bankable.
It is at this juncture that he chose to address the grave allegation in government as exposed by a section of the media.
Whereas I agree with Moses Kuria that you have become rogue and you are part of the Azimio brigade of trying to bring down the government, I don't agree with what he has suggested, that we stop advertising with you. We shouldn't, because we are democracy and we should be able to allow you to continue doing your job. Ours is to call you out.
Gachagua claims schemes by some quarters to stir up negative publicity on the Ruto-led administration.
You are going to wait for a long time and you'll be disappointed. There will be no cracks in this government. This is a very solid government with leaders who have been brought together by a plan. Leaders who have been brought together by some commitment to work for the people of Kenya. The President and I and the rest of us, all our ministers, are all pulling in the same direction.
He further justified alleged budget inflations by top government officials, saying the allocation is necessary in their quest in restoring the economic stability of the country.
If they were honest to do analysis, they will find that within 9 months, President William Ruto has done 8 times what President Uhuru Kenyatta did, and hence the escalation of the budget.
Juni Karisambele from Mombasa County.
Thank you. Asanteni sana.
Well, the Communications Authority of Kenya, CA, says it does not have the authorization to pull down the social media content produced by cult leader Paul Mackenzie immediately. Appearing before the Senate ad hoc committee investigating the Shakahola massacre, CA Director General Ezra Chiloba said that the authority has to seek permission from the various social media platforms to pull down the content of the embattled preacher. And as our reporter Abdiaziz Hashim now tells us, Times Television and a Good News Media owned by Mackenzie is currently off air and under the radar of Communications Authority.
The Senate probe into the Shakahola massacre continued on Monday, with the Communication Authority of Kenya, Director of the National Registration Bureau, and Director of Business Registration all appearing before the Senate Ad Hoc Committee. First up was the Communications Authority of Kenya, which stated currently it does not have the mandate of pulling down the embattled Paul Mackenzie's content on all social media platforms.
This gentleman started preaching some time ago, and we are told that apart from the television followers, there was digital content. Why haven't you pulled down social media content? Because it seems you are only talking about television. You've not even told us about radio.
We do not have a direct mandate in that particular space. It's only through interpretation. So that is the dilemma that we find ourselves in. To what extent can we pull down these? Is it our mandate to get in that particular space? However, given the developments and what we're observing, and especially when we kept on iterating the content that we had online, we had in our system, it became apparent that this was going to be a big issue. The online content, the online presence of Pastor Mackenzie's teachings.
CA Director General Ezra Chiloba says that there are 109 religious broadcasters in the country, but there is no licensing category for religious broadcasting stations.
So far, mobile numbers registered under ID number 146239994 are 4 of them. 4 lines. This is from Safaricom. From Telcom side, we have 2 lines. So I don't have information on the Airtel lines. But the letter goes on to say, from the records, we note that Mr. Paul Mackenzie also had an inactive merchant account, but never transacted with it.
Chiloba told the Tana River Senator Danson Mungatana-led committee that Times TV, which is under the Good News Media and owned by Mackenzie, was registered on the 14th of September 2015, is currently off air following the Shakahola deaths.
So in terms of ownership, legally speaking, Times TV is still owned by Mackenzie, legally speaking, and World Evangelism is owned by Ezekiel Odero. And in terms of the closure,
Odero is still using Times TV up to today?
No, he's not using the Times TV. And Times TV is off air as we speak.
Business Registration Services maintain that Chakama Ranch, where security operators have exhumed over 300 bodies, is a private land and registered under the name of Paul Mackenzie. This comes as the government's chief pathologist, Johansen Oduor, led the exercise of conducting the third phase of the post-mortem exercise on 94 bodies of the victims of the Shakahola starvation cult to ease congestion at the Malindi Sub-County Hospital mortuary. The Danson Mungatana-led committee are also set to have a sit-down with the ICT Cabinet Secretary, that is Eliud Owalo, as they continue to prepare the report that they will table before the senators. Abdiaziz Hashim from Parliament Buildings, Prime Edition.
Stay calm as we pursue the killers and criminals. IG's message to residents of Meru. All that coming up after this short break. Stay.
I put the question. It is up to 6 be part of the bill. As many as other people say aye. As many as come to the bill and say no. The ayes have it. Mr. Speaker, 7 to move that clause 41 be part of the bill. I propose that clause 7 be deleted as per the order.
The National Construction Authority is mandated to undertake research into the construction industry as a vital function that fosters effective knowledge diffusion, innovation, and improved performance of the industry. NCA will host its third Research Dissemination Forum on 20th to 21st June 2023, during which 4 pertinent research studies will be presented. Follow the proceedings live on KBC Channel 1 and the NCA Facebook page, National Construction Authority, and YouTube channel, National Construction Authority, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The National Construction Authority, promoting excellence in the construction industry.
Cheza Loto Moto.
Kwa majina naitwa Alex Odur, natoka Kamulu. Na show leo imekuwa poa. Nilikuja na confidence nikijua naenda kuwin. Na nimewin 100,000 hizi hapa. Wale wanacheza Loto Moto waendelee, ni kitu ya ukweli. Loto Moto, endelea kucheza kila siku.
Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Shinda milioni 2 kila siku kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number weka 757070. Account number andika neno Loto. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2,000. Lipa kisha subiri draw.
Huchagui familia yako, ni zawadi ya Mungu kwako kama ulivyozawadi kwao. Iwapo unakohoa, unahisi uchungu kwenye kifua, uchovu kila wakati, joto jingi mwilini, unakosa hamu ya kula au kupoteza uzito haraka bila kukusudia, na kutokwa na jasho jingi usiku, waweza kuwa waugua TB. Nenda hospitalini ukapimwe. Ikibainika ya kwamba ni TB, utapewa dawa, na ukimeza vizuri ulivyoshauriwa na daktari, utapona. TB yaweza kuangamiza jamii yako. Usikubali. Matibabu ni bila malipo katika hospitali zote za serikali.
We have been recognized, as in finally they are paying attention to our music. How amazing.
The core of Benga is the lead guitar, which essentially follows the track of the vocals.
15 years in the business, and it's gotten to a point where we feel that we just need to step back a bit. We're not quitting music or breaking up. I just want to put that out.
The business still continues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Prime Edition from wherever you're watching us, our socials at KBC Channel 1, my Twitter handle at Mboya24. Now, the Inspector General of Police, Japheth Koome, has called on residents of Matwati in Igembe North, Meru County, where 5 people were killed and hundreds of cattle stolen, to remain calm as government moves in to boost security in the area. The IG, while on a visit to the area, said that government will equip law enforcers with modern equipment to effectively counter banditry in the region. According to Koome, over 50 herds of cattle have been recovered from bandits by security agencies. Koome has further urged police units to work together with the community to bring harmony in the area.
Nataka kuhakikishia kuna mengi tunafanya ndiyo kuwa na utulivu upande huu, na kuna mambo ambayo tunapanga. Mtaona hata vifaa ambazo tutaleta hapa. Kuna mpango mzuri sana kuhakikisha kuna salama hapa, na hata kule tunapeleka mifugo zetu kuna usalama. Tumeangalia, tumejua pahali kulikuwa na mwanya, na DIG ni mshahidi wangu Bwana Kanja. Tumejua mahali kulikuwa na mwanya, tumeziba tayari. Tumerudisha ng'ombe 83 zimerudi tayari, zile zingine zitarudi. Tuko kule na teams, nao majangiri tutawapata.
Now, the short rains season has brought a respite to drought hit Kilifi County, where it is now normal to observe a drought. Despite the improvement from alarm phase, learners still bear the brunt of the effects of drought negatively impacted the education sector, particularly in arid and semi-arid areas. Majority of the schools are yet to benefit from government school feeding program. The report was filed by Margaret Kaleche, who is in Kilifi County, and voiced by Irene Muchuma.
Hadharani tunamba, kwa kweli tunawapenda, mazuri mmeyatenda, tulikuwa tukisota.
The effects of droughts continue to take a toll on learners in Kilifi County after the dry spell that hit the region. School-going children bearing the brunt of it all. Several schools are yet to benefit from the government school feeding program. The Child Welfare Society of Kenya, a government agency, has stepped in to mitigate the situation in efforts to address absenteeism and low retention rates. The agency, under the Ministry of Labour and Social Protection, is distributing food and learning materials to 40 schools in drought-stricken counties of Kwale and Kilifi, identified by the Ministry of Education.
We are able to reach out at around 11,000 children, and in Kwale we were able to reach 9,000 children. So we are here to offer psychosocial support, of which is food and material support, which is books, exercise books, pencils, and also biros and other things, and also sanitary towels, because we've realized the girl child, most of the time they are absent in school due to lack of sanitary pads.
At least 21,444 learners targeted for the program will also benefit from psychosocial support. A visit to Mugamboni Primary School in Ganze sub-county, the worst hit by drought, school attendance is low.
Parents have tried to cultivate their farms, prepare their farms. They have tried to plant good number of crops in their farms. But this is the time now we are really waiting for the harvest to come, because still we are waiting for rains.
The County Commissioner, Josephat Biwott, says they have embraced a multi-agency approach to address existing gaps to salvage the situation.
And the only long-term solution is to address the issue of depending on rain-fed agriculture, to see how we can fast-track Rare Dam as a long-term solution to our major challenge on agriculture.
Ganze ambako mimi ndo natoka na mheshimiwa Tungule anatoka, tumekuwa na namba za juu sana, na mjue chanzo kikubwa cha teenage pregnancy ni msichana wa shule kukosa sodo.
Hii chakula tumeambiwa itaweza kumaliza miezi miwili au mitatu. Tunajua baada ya hapo pengine wale watakuwa wamerudi kwa sababu shule kuna chakula, watadrop tena. So ni kuomba wahisani zaidi waweze kuja.
12 voters have moved to the High Court seeking to have the Kenya Kwanza Coalition declared the minority party in Parliament. The voters in their petition argue that Kenya Kwanza Coalition violated the Constitution and the people's sovereignty on multi-party democracy by wooing members elected independently or through other parties not in their coalition without following the laid down procedures. For these and more, here is the Skills of Justice segment.
Among the prayers being sought by the petitioners include the declaration that Kenya Kwanza Coalition is a minority side in the National Assembly based on the election of members of the National Assembly in the last general election. They also want the court to declare the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, was unlawfully elected and should stop serving as a Speaker of the National Assembly. Further, the petitioners faulted the Registrar of Political Parties for allegedly failing to ensure that Kenya Kwanza adheres to the Code of Conduct for Political Parties set out in the Political Parties Act 2011. They now wait for directions from the courts. Separately, it was a reprieve for Michael Mashari Njiri, alias DJ Brownskin, who has been in custody for close to 2 weeks after Milimani Chief Magistrate Lucas Zonyina granted him a bond of 200,000 Kenya shillings with a surety of the same or a cash bail of 100,000 shillings and one contact person.
Make sure to confirm supply of business statements and documentary inscriptions.
he stands free upon paying that amount, and I think that is essentially what we wanted, so that he can do his case when he's outside, and it's not punitive in terms of keeping him inside.
The case will be mentioned on Thursday, 22nd June 2023. Elsewhere, Justice Alfred Mboya stopped Equity Bank takeover of Trans-Century. Justice Mboya suspended the receivership temporarily pending inter-party hearing. This is after Trans-Century PLC moved to the High Court to challenge the takeover. Justice Mboya has also certified the suit as urgent. Meanwhile, 2 young men have been arraigned in court for robbery with violence. The duo are accused of robbing a woman an ATM card, a handbag and 1,200 Kenya shillings along Ngong Road in Nairobi. The duo are accused of robbing a woman of her ATM card, a handbag and 1,200 Kenya shillings along Ngong Road in Nairobi County. The pre-trial is slated for 25th June 2023.
Na hiyo mahakama itakayosikiza kesi yako ndio itaweza kutoa amri.
Finally, the High Court in Meru on Monday had that a land rights activist, Elizabeth Ibrahim Ekaru, died after profusely bleeding when she was stabbed several times at a funeral she was attending.
We are just super grateful, and we hope that by the end of the year, we'll be able to get justice for our fallen comrade Elizabeth.
2 more witnesses are set to testify on September 18, 2023, when the hearing will continue. Patrick Nawit is accused of attacking and killing the suspect. He was arrested by police as an irate mob descended on him, accusing him of murdering the late Ekaru. Ruth Huamboy for Prime Edition.
The National Construction Authority is mandated to undertake research into the construction industry as a vital function that fosters effective knowledge diffusion, innovation, and improved performance of the industry. NCA will host its 3rd Research Dissemination Forum on 20th to 21st June 2023, during which 4 pertinent research studies will be presented. Follow the proceedings live on KBC Channel 1 and the NCA Facebook page, National Construction Authority, and YouTube channel, National Construction Authority, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The National Construction Authority, promoting excellence in the construction industry.
Biggest odds in the world every day on selected matches. Make a decision. Mozart Bet.
This is the show that keeps you updated on everything you need to know about technology.
Digital resilience is about organizations being able to continue to operate despite negative impacts that they've experienced.
The subject digital transformation, we keep talking about it, but very many people fail to understand that.
Twitter's removal of blue ticks is forcing accounts to find new ways to prove authenticity as concerns over copycats mount. At the same time, Elon Musk has given blue ticks to a few celebrities who didn't ask for one, such as writer Stephen King and Larry Madowo, for free.
Take on Tech every Monday at 10:30 p.m. on KBC Channel 1. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Betty Kiptum is coming up shortly with the day's business. But first, victims of sexual violence in the 2007-2008 post-Paul chaos are demanding acknowledgement and compensation from government for damages suffered during the chaos. Speaking during the release of the Kenya study on opportunities for compensation for survivors of conflict-related sexual violence, survivors of sexual violence say that it is now 15 years since the post-Paul chaos, and yet justice for them remains elusive.
Between 2007 December and 2008 January, the post-election violence in Kenya resulted in the deaths of an estimated 1,200 people. Hundreds others were sexually assaulted.
Akimbisha huyu mtoto wangu upande ingine na mimi upande huu. Huyu msichana wangu alisikwa, akafanyiwa matambi na tena akararuliwa manguo. Ulize umekuwa aje? Wanipiga, wakanirarulia nguo. Hii kuja hivi kama uji. Na mimi nikamwambia na mimi pia.
15 years later, survivors say their needs that range from medical support, psychological support, legal services and economic support are yet to be met.
Kwetu pale nizaliwa ni Siaya. Nilipata kama udongo already walishapeana kwa sababu maisha yangu zote nilikuwa nimeweka Naivasha fasi nilikuwa naishi. Sasa imebidi mimi niende niishi Busia, Kenya ili nipate jinsi naweza ishi. Sasa venye sijapata venye naweza ishi imefanya nitatengana na familia yangu, wanaishi mbali na mimi naishi mbali.
A report on opportunities for reparations released on Monday through the support of the Global Survivors Fund found that none of the survivors have received any form of justice for crimes suffered during that period.
Talked about it like it had just happened yesterday. The details of what happened, the slamming of the door, the screaming that went on, it was just profound, but it also made us realize one thing. It is so difficult to be able to move when nobody gives you the opportunity for closure.
Employing survivor-centered approaches in handling these cases so that it's done in a very sensitive manner. And just as non-repetition is important for prevention, so is accountability. So that it's only by holding accountable perpetrators that we can actually break these cycles of violence.
During his 2023-2024 budget presentation, CS Treasury Njuguna Ndongo proposed 245 million shillings towards strengthening prevention and response of gender-based violence and a further 3.5 billion shillings for the National Government Affirmative Action. Part of this money, the Nairobi women representative Esther Pasari says, should go into reparations.
Because we've been saying we need more money on SGBV. So for me, I think from that budget of sexual gender-based violence, we can start reparation. We don't have to write.
For justice to be realized, the report recommends that the Office of the Attorney General and the Department of Justice addresses impunity by investigating and prosecuting conflict-related sexual violence crimes. The President to officially and specifically recognize the status of survivors of conflict-related sexual violence. Government to take immediate action to publish the full TJRC report, and the Ministry of Public Service to create a task force which will include survivors to onboard delivery partners. The report was launched as the country joined the world in marking International Day for the Elimination of Sexual Violence in Conflict. Caroline Kamar reporting for Prime Edition.
Now, the Finance Bill 2023, which enters the committee stage at the National Assembly Tuesday, will serve as an acid test to the Azimio coalition. The coalition has hinted at presenting amendments to the bill touching on the 1.5% housing tax, as well as the 8% increment on VAT on petroleum products. It's now a game of wait and see if the coalition will marshal enough support to overturn contents of the bill backed by government who enjoy majority control of the House.
The opposition benches were a beehive of activity last Wednesday as Azimio allied legislators opposed proposals contained in the Finance Bill 2023. Despite amplifying their voices to oppose the adoption of a bill, the vote would end with 176 legislators supporting the adoption of a bill, while 81 MPs opposed the adoption of a bill.
You set out to increase VAT on fuel and petroleum products from 8 to 16%. You essentially mean that the cost of living is going to skyrocket automatically.
We do not want our hustlers to die. We will speak for them. They are suffering enough, Mr. Speaker.
I do not understand how a government that says that already there's a problem insists on increasing the overall budget from 3.3 trillion, which it was in the previous year, to 3.67 trillion.
Queries would emerge on the whereabouts of Azimio allied legislators who were absent from the chambers during the vote. The Azimio coalition has since written a show cause letter to 28 of its members, 4 of them who actively supported the bill and 24 who were absent during voting. Githunguri MP Gathoni wa Mushomba is the lone ranger from the Kenya Kwanza coalition to vote against the bill.
We started off with issue of housing. We came up with contribution. We moved from contribution. We made it a levy. We have moved from the levy. Now we are calling it a task. Is that not scandalous?
Ni lazima tujiadhibu ili tuweze kukomboa hao wa Kenya. Leo unataka kupinga mswada, leo unataka kupinga bill kwa sababu ya kutafuta umaarufu.
And as Parliament prepares to debate the bill at the committee stage, all eyes will be on the opposition, who have hinted at proposing amendments. Several amendments agreed upon by the Kimani Kuria-led Finance Committee have been proposed, with the Kenya Kwanza side keen on pushing through all of them, while Azimio says it has prepared a raft of amendments that will most likely be opposed by the government side. Among the amendments sought by Kenya Kwanza include the lowering of the housing tax from 3% to 1.5%. The committee is also recommending its implementation to be deferred to January 2024 in order to put in place a watertight legal framework ahead of its implementation. The 15% tax proposed for digital content creators will be lowered to 5%. The Kenya Kwanza side is keen on retaining the proposal to set the VAT of petroleum products at 16%, up from 8%, a proposal that Azimio's side has vehemently opposed, claiming it was punitive and would overburden Kenyans.
And because we do it cross by clause, we'll have enough time in the coming days to interrogate that bill and, of course, do the changes that we may seek to do.
Some of the MPs who have received disciplinary letters from Azimio for being absent say they will support the proposals, with President William Ruto urging them to ignore alleged intimidation by their parties.
Na tuache siasa ya propaganda, because this is our country and we want our country to succeed. Whether I'm an MP or not.
Wacheni Kiingereza mingi nini sijui nini, sijui umeandikiwa barua na sijui chama gani. Wewe unaandikiwa barua na chama, na hawa wenye walikupatia kura barua yao umesoma.
John Jacob Curia, Prime Edition.
Now, he served for 2 years as the Cabinet Secretary for Labour and Social Security and Services. This week on the Cabinet, we focus on Samuel Kazungu Kambi, who served in President Uhuru Kenyatta's administration.
Samuel Kazungu Kambi was the MP for Kaloleni in Kilifi between 2008 to 2013. In 2008, he served as Assistant Minister for Medical Services in President Mboya Kibaki's Grand Coalition government. In the 2013 March general election, Kambi failed in his bid to retain the Kaloleni parliamentary seat. President Uhuru Kenyatta appointed Kambi as the Cabinet Secretary for Labour, Social Security and Services. Kambi's tenure as Cabinet Secretary was brief, as he resigned in 2015 when President Kenyatta asked ministers accused of corruption to step aside. When he served in the cabinet, Kambi frequently attracted fierce opposition from the leaders of the trade unions. The Central Organization of Trade Unions and the Kenya National Union of Teachers were among the organizations that questioned his fitness to hold the position as soon as he took office. Prior to joining politics, Kambi served as a manager at the Kenya Post and Telecommunications Corporation from 1987 to 1992. He joined the Betting Control and Licensing Board as a director, where he worked till 2006, then joined politics. In 2016, he was appointed the chairperson of National Government Constituency Development Fund. In 2017, he unsuccessfully vied for the Kilifi gubernatorial seat. In 2018, he was appointed chairman of the Coast Development Authority. In 2019, President Kenyatta nominated Kambi to the National Land Commission. Jackie Wambiru, The Cabinet.
The National Construction Authority is mandated to undertake research into the construction industry as a vital function that fosters effective knowledge diffusion, innovation, and improved performance of the industry. NCA will host its third Research Dissemination Forum on 20th to 21st June 2023, during which 4 pertinent research studies will be presented. Follow the proceedings live on KBC Channel 1 and the NCA Facebook page, National Construction Authority, and YouTube channel, National Construction Authority, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The National Construction Authority, promoting excellence in the construction industry.
Cheza Loto Moto.
Kwa majina naitwa Alex Odur, natoka Kamulu. Ashwa leo imekuwa poa. Nilikuja na confidence nikijua naenda kuwin. Na nimewin 100,000 ndio hizi hapa. Wale wanacheza Loto Moto waendelee, ni kitu ya ukweli. Loto Moto, endelea kucheza kila siku.
Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Shinda milioni 2 kila siku kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number, weka 757070. Account number, andika neno Loto. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2,000. Lipa, kisha subiri draw.
Iwapo unakohoa, unahisi uchungu kwenye kifua, uchovu kila wakati, joto jingi mwilini, unakosa hamu ya kula au kupoteza uzito haraka bila kukusudia, na kutokwa na jasho jingi usiku, waweza kuwa waugua TB.
Mimi siwezi kukaa hapa peke yangu. Wamjua tena huu shetani.
Mtaka hapa kando yako mpaka haya maneno tuyamalize. Sijui nini hasa ambacho kinaendelea hapa.
I swear to you, wakili, you will regret it.
TB yaweza kuangamiza jamii yako. Usikubali. Matibabu ni bila malipo katika hospitali zote za serikali.
A very good evening to you. Thank you for staying with KBC Channel 1. This is Prime Edition. Time to get the latest in the world of business. My name is Betty Kiptum. Now, the government will leverage the cooperative movement network to enhance credit access by entrepreneurs. Cooperatives, micro, small and medium enterprises Cabinet Secretary Simon Chelugui says close to 200,000 groups have applied for the second phase of the Hustler Fund that was launched early this month. Here is Trevor Ngendo with the details.
Savings and credit cooperatives grew 9.8% from 807.1 billion shillings in 2021 to 886.2 billion shillings last year. An increase the government is now targeting to capitalize to grow micro, small and medium enterprises by leveraging the Hustler Fund to enhance credit access.
As a ministry, as a government, we are ensuring that all Kenyans join the financial system, and then we will prepare them, we will mentor them, we will accelerate their business and transition them to mainstream financial services like SACCOs. And now that we've developed the rhythm, we believe by end of this month, we should have created actively over 350,000 groups, and we should have already launched over 30,000 groups.
The ministry is in the process of amending the SACCO Societies Regulation Act to provide social services where operators will be required to form groups to promote sharing of common services.
Some of the common services include core banking, where they will share the new development. They will be able to support the small ones, and the big ones will also benefit, and also move away from focusing on ICT issues and its challenges, and remain steady with their main core business, that is financial provision.
Chelugui spoke during the launch of the 10th branch of Stima SACCO at Electricity House in Nairobi, where the SACCO was hailed for being innovative.
The communities that are underserved and have limited access to financial services, it has always been a key consideration for us, even as we expand.
The aim is to ensure economic empowerment ranging from the small and medium enterprises to large corporate organizations, both of which form part and parcel of our membership.
The cooperative movement continues to be a driving force in the country, with SACCOs playing a critical role in economic development and job creation. And as a symbolism of the commitment towards promoting of financial freedom for all, Stima SACCO's new branch takes flight. Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition, Nairobi.
Thank you, Trevor, for that report. Now, fintech microfinance company Aspira has inked a deal with Loxia Limited, the leasing arm of CFAO Group, to offer 100% financing for small businesses to acquire new vehicles. The deal is aimed at easing pressure on capital for mobility for small businesses. Small businesses are constrained by high upfront payments and need for guarantees when applying for credit. Aspira and Loxia say the deal will democratize access to new vehicles by allowing leasing without the need for collateral or guarantees.
From a repayment perspective, it's over 48 months, and this solution is fantastic because the SME owner will have peace of mind and that they're not only getting to buy the vehicle, but the full repairs and maintenance are covered.
You do not need to look for the cash upfront to get your vehicles. You walk in and walk out to the vehicle. You pay over 48 months, so that gives you time. So you're paying as you're earning in your business. The other one is that you do not focus on looking at the vehicle, thinking about the maintenance.
The partnership between Aspira and Loxia will ensure small businesses benefit from integrated fleet management solution so that they can focus on their core business.
So we believe that the people that grow into corporates is actually the SMEs, and the SMEs are driving the economy. Without the SMEs, I don't know where the economy will be. We believe that our SMEs are also in a position to grow, and for them to grow, they need to focus on their business.
Despite their significance in the economy, the survival of small businesses has been low, partly attributed to the high cost of logistics that ultimately leads to cash flow constraints. Now, the government should address barriers women face in the science, technology, engineering and mathematics profession. Professor Faith Karanja says there is need to revise the legal framework in a bid to enhance employment of women.
This week is the 2023 edition of Africa Science Week. The Kenya edition, which began, is tied at supporting women in the science, technology, engineering and mathematics STEM as stakeholders seek to break barriers and inspiring scientific excellence.
Today was just the launch of the Science Week, and as we have previously mentioned, the theme is breaking barriers and enhancing scientific excellence among women.
Players are calling on the government to help address non-discrimination in the hiring to enhance inclusion for women. Professor Karanja says intrinsic barriers have lowered the standards for women in science, technology, engineering and mathematics, with experts calling on government to invest in mentorship programs for women.
One of the key things that we hope that the policy is going to look at is ensuring that mentorship is mainstreamed, in all the programs and at different levels, so that we are able to address these systemic barriers that we continue to see even in our own institutions.
They believe women-friendly policies and practices will increase opportunities for women. Frederick Moki for Prime Edition.
We now take a quick break. When we come back, the news continues. Stay with us.
Aviator instant game. Be a daring pilot and earn by how much high you can lift the plane. The higher you fly, the higher your win. The sky is the limit. Mozart Bet.
Are you a holder of unclaimed financial assets? Surrender unclaimed financial assets today and avoid the last-minute rush. Take advantage of penalties and fines waiver ending June 30th, 2023. Report and surrender unclaimed financial assets today. For more information, visit our website www.ufaa.go.ke/holders or contact us through holders@ufaa.go.ke or call us on 020-402-3000. Do not wait for the June 30th, 2023 deadline. Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. Receive, safeguard, reunite.
Jina langu ni Absalom Maswani. Nitakuwa mojawapo wa madereva ambao watakuwa kwenye mashindano ya kiulimwengu ya WRC ya magari. Nitakuwa nimekaa katika gari hili hapa, gari nambari 41. Gari aina Mitsubishi Evolution 10. Na wakaribisheni mashabiki wote kwenye runinga zenu, haswa kwenye mtandao wa KBC ambayo itakuwa inaonyesha stage 5. Ambayo KBC wenyewe ni partner wa michezo katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. So mnakaribishwa wote mje mshangilie timu yetu ya KCB na KBC pamoja, ambapo tutasherehekea tukiwa pamoja. Karibuni.
It is the cup with the golden ticket. Mozart Bet Cup, 2 million shillings. CAF Confederations Cup. Kuwa mshindi. Mozart Bet Cup.
Welcome back to KBC Prime Edition. My name is Karen Kibet. Let's now talk sports. The Sports Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba has hailed the role of sports in mitigating climate action, saying Kenya is on the right path in the push for decarbonization of the environment. The CS on Monday led hundreds in marking the 70th anniversary of WRC Safari Rally in the country by planting a total of 7,000 trees at the Kenya International Sports Center, Kasarani.
Sports Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba led the participants at Sports for Climate Action and Wellness Day in planting a total of 7,000 trees to symbolize the 7 decades the Safari Rally has been a leg on the WRC Championship. The tree planting exercise, a joint venture by the Ministry and Safari Rally Project, seeks to plant a total of 19 million trees as part of the greening project, as well as a climatic mitigation.
Kenya is already recognized globally because of the activities we are undertaking as a thought leader in sports for climate action. We are already rated highly.
As part of the enduring legacy of WRC Safari Rally, the International Federation Automobile FIA is set to establish a rallying school at Mboya Kasarani in efforts to nurture upcoming Kenyan rally drivers.
Have had announcement of the landmark historic rallying school that is going to be hosted by the Kenya Academy of Sports. And the purpose of the rallying school really is to provide a pipeline, a conveyor belt for continuous rallying talent to continue this beautiful heritage of rallying in Kenya.
Meanwhile, the Cabinet Secretary has called for adoption of cycling as a mode of transport, saying this will help decarbonize and decongest the city, urging for a mind shift and embracing of modesty.
We must decarbonize and decongest our cities, and one way of doing that is to get onto the bike. And the message we are sending to the country, get out of this mindset where you believe, and this is a very strong Kenyan mindset, that the bigger the car, the cooler you are. Cool means big automobile. And so if today I appeared in a function on a bike, people are going to talk very badly about me.
Ndio hiyo bendera ambayo inawapa nafasi.
Meanwhile, the CS flagged off 2 cultural troops which are set to participate in cultural exchange forums in Serbia and USA respectively. The visit by the two groups, Ababu said, will help cement relations between the two countries. The 2023 Safari Rally, whose 5 stages will be broadcast live on KBC Channel 1, is set to rave off this Thursday at Uhuru Park before heading to Naivasha for the grueling race that has attracted a total of 34 drivers. Bernard Okumu, Primetime Edition.
Thank you, Okumu, for that report. Moving on, Information, Communication, Technology and Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo has challenged Posta Rangers FC to win their Kenyan Premier League match against defending champions Tusker FC on Wednesday to stand a chance to finish in the top 10. CS Owalo handed the team a cash token of 200,000 Kenya shillings and promised to reward them should they beat Tusker FC on Wednesday.
Cabinet Secretary for ICT and Digital Economy Eliud Owalo has today boosted the morale of Kenyan Premier League side Posta Rangers ahead of their tie against Tusker FC. Owalo reiterated his commitment to improve the team's welfare and ensure they compete for the title next season.
We must also have structures from the grassroots. Most of the players who have done Kenya proud previously were actually products of the Olympic youth centers. So we need to have academies at the grassroots level so that we can nurture and nourish our talents.
Owalo gave the team a token of 200,000 Kenya shillings and promised to reward them should they win against Tusker FC this Wednesday.
The backbone of the national team was actually from the community the community clubs. As much as the private sector or even institutional clubs have got the right to exist and get support, let us also encourage the private sector to put money into the community clubs. That is where the future of Kenyan soccer is.
Posta Corporation of Kenya announced to pay the players allowances amounting to 420,000 shillings for the month of May as a morale booster ahead of the 2 final fixtures of the season. Rangers lie 11th on the Kenyan Premier League table with 39 points with 2 matches remaining this season. At the same time, CS Owalo expressed disappointment in Harambee Stars' defeat to lowly ranked Mauritius yesterday, calling for proper restructuring of the team by the Ministry of Sports and FKF.
The Sports Fund will cater for the many projects the government will be doing, including the renovations of football grounds in Kenya as the country seeks to win the hosting rights of the Africa Cup of Nations 2027. The availability of the fund was the major contributor to the slashing of the Ministry of Sports budget, despite the urgency of renovations expected to be done at the Kasarani, Nyayo, Jamhuri and Kipchoge Keino stadiums.
The budget for sports, we've had sports through 2 areas. One is through GOK grants, but as you know, there is also a very well capitalized sports fund. So majority of the projects in regards to sports, including infrastructural projects that are done like stadiums, majority of them are funded through the sports fund, which is well capitalized and has got enough resources. So we are in line in terms of making sure that those who are talented are able to commercialize their talent and live off their talent.
The cup with the golden ticket. Mozart Bet Cup, 2 million shillings. CAF Confederations Cup. Kuwa mshindi. Mozart Bet Cup.
Does it for Prime Edition. But before we go, you wanted to say something about the championship, rally championship?
Oh yes, the World Safari Rally. KBC will be airing 5 stages of the Safari Rally live as from the 22nd to the 25th of June.
Yeah.
I have a tendency in ruining the L and the R.
The arrow and the R's. Arrow and the R's. What do you have in business, by the way?
Well, tomorrow it's the big day, the third reading
Yeah.
of the finance bill. We expect it to be hot in Parliament.
Fireworks.
Yeah.
All right. By the way, today was World Sickle Day. Do you know anybody who has sickle cell? Who's a sickler? Any of you know?
Oh, yes.
Do you have a
I
friend,
do,
relative?
actually.
It's
Yeah.
not. It's not easy.
It's not easy, and today's
Yeah.
their day. So we have to bring it to an end. Thank you all for watching from us here at Broadcasting House. My name is Mboya, and I'm wishing you a pleasant viewing. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.